Welcome back to Demolition Worker. Today we tackle the colossal challenge of dismantling massive oil tanks measuring 80 meters in diameter. These gigantic structures in Iran have stored millions of gallons of crude oil, leaving a highly flammable sludge residue trapped inside. Because of this thick, hazardous sludge, traditional demolition methods using heat or open flames are absolutely impossible and extremely dangerous here. A single spark from a conventional welding torch could easily ignite the remaining fumes, causing a catastrophic explosion across the facility. Therefore, our engineering team must employ a highly specialized technique known as cold cutting to safely deconstruct these towering metal beasts. This innovative approach entirely eliminates the risk of fire while allowing workers to systematically break down the heavy steel structural components. We deploy advanced robotic systems equipped with ultra-high pressure water jets to perform the precision cutting required for this job. These automated robots are remotely controlled by skilled operators who remain at a safe distance from the primary demolition hazard zones. To enhance the cutting power, fine quartz sand is continuously mixed into a high-velocity water stream inside the nozzle chamber. This abrasive mixture transforms ordinary water into a devastatingly sharp liquid blade capable of slicing cakes through heavily reinforced industrial steel plates. The pressurized water jet emerges from the nozzle as thin as a thread, yet it carries immense kinetic energy and destructive power. Watch closely as the concentrated stream effortlessly tears through the thick metal wall, slicing it open and sacked like a hot knife. It cuts through the dense steel shell like butter, leaving incredibly smooth edges without generating any hazardous heat or toxic smoke. The sheer force of the water jet creates a deafening roar that echoes loudly across the entire industrial tank farm complex. This powerful auditory experience perfectly illustrates the raw mechanical energy required to tear apart such heavily fortified petroleum storage infrastructure systems. As the robotic cutter moves horizontally along the tank wall, a long, precise incision begins to separate the massive steel segments. Engineers carefully calculate the exact cutting sequences to ensure the structural integrity of the remaining tank walls is maintained during demolition. Safety protocols dictate that the upper sections must be weakened first, guiding the enormous steel panels to fall inward upon themselves. This controlled collapse technique prevents heavy debris from falling outward, effectively protecting the surrounding operational facilities and nearby environmental protection zones. The robotic crawler slowly ascends the curved surface of the tank, guided by powerful magnetic tracks that grip the rusty steel. High-definition cameras mounted on the cutting rig provide the remote operators with a clear view of the ongoing demolition process. Gallons of industrial water continuously flood the cutting zone, suppressing any potential sparks and immediately washing away the toxic sludge residue. The precision of this abrasive water jet technology ensures that the structural steel is cut cleanly without warping or thermal distortion. Piece by piece, the giant steel panels are systematically detached from the main structural frame of the massive petroleum storage tank. Gravity finally takes over as a severely weakened steel plate groans under its own tremendous weight and begins to slowly detach. With a thunderous crash, the enormous metal section collapses inward, slamming violently against the concrete floor of the empty oil tank. Dust and water vapor explode into the air as the heavy steel plate settles into the growing pile of industrial debris. The demolition crew cheers as the first major section is safely brought down, validating their meticulous planning and advanced cutting techniques. Now the robotic cutter repositions itself to begin slicing through the next designated vertical seam on the massive curved steel wall. This repetitive but highly critical process will continue for several days until the entire cylindrical structure is completely reduced to scrap. Every single cut is executed with mathematical precision, ensuring that the progressive collapse remains entirely predictable and safely contained within boundaries. The harsh Iranian sun beats down on the demolition site, highlighting the stark contrast between the bright sky and dark steel. Despite the extreme heat, the cold-cutting operation proceeds flawlessly, continuously cooled by the very water that acts as the blade. Another massive steel panel suddenly gives way, folding inward like a giant piece of origami and crashing onto the rubble below. The sheer scale of these 80-meter-wide tanks makes the demolition robots look like tiny metallic insects crawling across them. As the walls come down, sunlight finally penetrates the dark interior of the tank, revealing the thick layer of oily sludge. Specialized vacuum trucks are immediately deployed to safely extract this hazardous material before it can contaminate the surrounding soil and groundwater. Environmental protection is a top priority during this massive demolition project, and strict containment protocols are rigorously enforced at all times. The cold-cutting method significantly contributes to this environmental goal by completely eliminating the generation of toxic welding smoke and fumes. Workers breathe clean air instead of inhaling dangerous metallic particulates, making this modern demolition site significantly healthier for the entire crew. With the upper walls completely removed, the demolition team now focuses their attention on the thick steel floor of the tank. The robotic water jets are reconfigured to slice horizontally through the heavy base plates, cutting them into manageable rectangular scrap pieces. This methodical deconstruction strategy ensures that every single piece of steel can be efficiently transported away from the busy industrial site. Once the steel is cut, a fleet of heavy-duty excavators rolls onto the site to begin the massive cleanup operation. These powerful machines are not equipped with standard digging buckets, but rather with enormous industrial electromagnets designed to lift heavy metal. The operator activates the powerful magnetic field, instantly attracting multiple heavy steel fragments with a loud and satisfying metallic clanking sound. The massive excavator effortlessly lifts tons of jagged steel debris high into the air, moving it away from the cutting zone. With a simple flick of a switch, the magnetic field is deactivated, dropping the scrap metal perfectly into a waiting dump truck. This magnetic lifting technology dramatically speeds up the debris removal process while minimizing the risk of accidental injuries to ground workers. Truck after truck is fully loaded with the freshly cut steel plates, creating a continuous convoy leaving the busy demolition site. The rhythmic sound of heavy machinery and clashing metal creates an industrial symphony that echoes throughout the rapidly shrinking tank farm. Every piece of scrap metal collected here represents a valuable resource that will soon be reintroduced into the global supply chain. This entire demolition project is a perfect example of the circular economy in action, transforming obsolete infrastructure into useful raw materials. Thousands of tons of high-quality steel are being meticulously salvaged from these massive Iranian oil tanks for future recycling purposes. Instead of rusting away in a forgotten industrial wasteland, this durable metal will soon find a brand new purpose and life. The fully loaded dump trucks transport the heavy steel scrap directly to a massive regional smelting facility located just miles away. At the busy recycling plant, the steel fragments are carefully sorted, cleaned, and prepared for their journey into the blazing furnaces. Intense heat melts the old tank walls down into glowing orange liquid metal, completely erasing their previous form in industrial history. This molten steel is then continuously cast into fresh structural beams, reinforcing bars, and heavy plates for modern commercial construction projects. The steel that once stored crude oil in the desert will now provide the strong structural backbone for towering new skyscrapers. By recycling this massive volume of metal, the construction industry saves enormous amounts of energy compared to mining raw iron ore. This sustainable practice significantly reduces carbon emissions and helps protect our fragile global environment from further unnecessary industrial degradation and pollution. Back at the demolition site, the final few sections of the massive oil tank are being systematically sliced apart and removed. The robotic water jet makes its last precise cut, severing the final stubborn connection holding the heavy steel base plate together. The magnetic excavator swoops in one last time, effortlessly lifting the final piece of the once mighty 80-meter storage tank. Where a colossal metal giant stood just weeks ago, there is now only a flat, clean, concrete foundation baking in the sun. The demolition crew carefully inspects the cleared site, ensuring that absolutely no hazardous materials or sharp metal fragments have been left behind. Their meticulous attention to detail guarantees that this valuable industrial land can be safely repurposed for future sustainable energy development projects. The successful dismantling of this giant tank farm stands as a testament to modern engineering, advanced robotics, and strict environmental safety. Cold cutting technology has completely revolutionized the demolition industry, turning incredibly dangerous tasks into highly controlled and remarkably safe mechanical procedures. The combination of high-pressure water and abrasive quartz sand has proven to be the ultimate tool for safely dismantling petroleum infrastructure. As the sun begins to set over the Iranian desert, the tired but proud demolition crew starts packing up their heavy equipment. The robotic crawlers are carefully washed down, removing the accumulated grime and preparing them for their next challenging industrial demolition assignment. The massive magnetic excavators are loaded onto heavy transport trailers, ready to travel to another facility that requires their incredible lifting power. This complex operation required incredible coordination between skilled engineers, remote robot operators, environmental safety inspectors, and heavy machinery transport logistics teams. Every single individual played a crucial role in ensuring that these dangerous oil tanks were brought down without a single safety incident. The scale of the recovered resources is truly staggering. Thousands of tons of premium steel successfully redirected from landfills to foundries. This impressive achievement highlights the growing global commitment to sustainable industrial practices and the critical importance of the modern circular economic model. As we look at the empty concrete pad, it is hard to imagine the towering metal structures that once dominated this landscape. The landscape has been permanently altered, but the valuable materials harvested from this site will live on in countless new architectural marvels. From the terrifyingly explosive sludge to the perfectly controlled inward collapse, this project tested the absolute limits of modern industrial demolition technology. The roaring sound of the abrasive water jets and the thunderous crashing of heavy steel plates will echo in our memories forever. We have witnessed exactly how advanced robotics and pure fluid dynamics can conquer even the most heavily fortified man-made steel structures. This was not just a simple demolition job, it was a carefully choreographed industrial ballet performed by massive machines and pressurized water. The success of this mission proves that with the right technology, we can safely dismantle the hazardous remnants of our industrial past. We are paving the way for a cleaner, safer, and much more sustainable future by intelligently recycling our massive obsolete infrastructure systems. Thank you for joining us on this incredible journey through the fascinating and highly dangerous world of extreme heavy industrial structural demolition. We hope you enjoyed witnessing the sheer power of cold cutting technology and the massive scale of these incredible magnetic lifting machines. Subscribe and tune in next time as we tackle even bigger challenges and dismantle more colossal industrial structures around the entire world. Until then, stay safe and keep building the future. Thank you for watching Demolition Worker, your ultimate source for extreme industrial deconstruction.